You may be more imprisoned than you realize. James Stockdale was held captive by his enemy soldiers, chains, torture, concrete walls. Fred is held captive by his own mind. The life is leaking away, not through dramatic tragedy, through small, invisible drains. We are playing a game we cannot win, and we play it every single day, wondering why we are exhausted. The Stoics define freedom simply the ability to abstain. If you cannot choose not to do something, you are its slave. So, how do we live this? Not as a philosophy to admire, but as a practice to embody. Welcome to Inner Empire. I am OS. One idea every few days that changes how you see yourself and the world. Today, what you control and what controls you. I would like to start this video with a little story. I know the dates. Let's start. September 9th, 1965. A fighter pilot named James Stockdale ejects from his aircraft over North Vietnam. As his parachute opens, he watches his plane spiral into the ground below. He looked at the village rushing up to meet him, and in that moment he says to himself, I am leaving the world of tech and entering the world of Epictetus. And within minutes he is captured, his leg is shattered, he is dragged through the streets, beaten by mobs, and thrown into a prison cell. For the next 7 years and 7 months, James Stockdale would be tortured over 20 times. He would be kept in solitary confinement for 4 years. He would be starved, humiliated, and broken down ways most people cannot imagine. And yet he survived, not just physically, mentally, spiritually. He emerged as one of the most decorated officer in naval history. And when asked how he endured what would have destroyed most men today, his answer was simple: Stoic philosophy, specifically the teachings of a man named Epictetus. In the darkness of that prison cell, James Stockdale held on to one idea. The chief task of life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can clearly see to myself which are external, not under my control, and which have to do with the choices I actually control. His captors control his body, his environment, whether he ate, saw sunlight, or whether he slept, but they could not control his mind, his character, his judgment, his responses. And that, as Stockdale discovered, was, I guess, everything was enough. Now the question is, are we in the Vietnamese prison camp, or are you in the Vietnamese prison camp? No, absolutely not. We're not in the Vietnamese prison camp. Our circumstances are not that extreme. But I want you to consider something uncomfortable. You may be more imprisoned than you realize. Let's take a look at Fred's life. Fred is a 19-year-old boy. Fred wakes up in the morning and the first thing he do is check his phone. Not because anything urgent awaits, but because Fred needs to know, did anyone message me? Did anyone like my post? Did the world remember that I exist? Fred scroll through social media. Fred feels a strange emptiness. Everyone seems more happier, more successful, more loved. He puts the phone down, feeling worse than before, and yet tomorrow Fred will do the same thing. At work, Fred performs not for himself but for the approval of others. A boss who may or may not notice. Colleagues who are too busy seeking their own validation to offer any. Someone criticizes Fred. Maybe a comment, maybe a look, maybe something sad behind his back. It ruins his day. Fred replay it endlessly. Fred crafts responses that he will never deliver. Fred loses sleep over words that the other person has already forgotten. He tries to control everything: outcome, impressions, other people's feelings, and when he cannot, which is always, Fred feels like a failure. Fred is exhausted, anxious, and never at peace. Here's the thing: Fred has built a prison for himself, not with walls or with not with bars, but with every thought Fred gives to the things that he cannot change. Every hour spent worrying about what other people think, every night lying awake, replaying what is already finished. James Stockdale was held captive by his enemy soldiers, chains, torture, concrete walls. Fred is held captive by his own mind, by opinion, by notifications, by the next desperate need for control over things that were never his to control. James Stockdale's prison was visible, but Fred's is invisible. But make no mistake, Fred is not free. Seneca said, "How many have laid waste to your life when you weren't aware of what you were losing? How much was wasted in pointless grief, foolish joy, greedy desire, and social amusement? How little of your own was left to you? How little of your own was left to you." If you can relate to Fred's life, I have something for you. Your life is leaking away, not through dramatic tragedy, through small invisible drains, worry comparisons, seeking approval, fighting battles you cannot win. You will not notice until there is nothing left to lose. There are forces in this world that do not care about our efforts, our wishes, our suffering. They will not bend because we want them to. They will not change because we deserve better. We cannot change other people's opinion. We can be kind, generous, perfect in every way, and someone will still dislike us. Someone will still talk behind our back. The economy, the weather, the traffic, our health as we age, the family we were born into. None of it is ours to command. And yet, look at how we live. We rage at traffic as if our anger will move the cars. We obsess over someone who rejected us as if enough thinking will change their mind. We refresh the notifications, hoping that the next check will bring the validation that fills the void. We are playing a game we cannot win, and we play it every single day, wondering why we are exhausted. Epictetus said, "Some things are in our control while others are not. We control our opinion, choices, desire, aversion, and in a word, everything of our own doing. We don't control our body, property, reputation, position, and in a word, everything not of our own doing. Our reputation is not in our control. Our position is not in our control. Even our body, which will age, weaken, and eventually fail, is not fully ours to command. What is ours? Our perception, our judgment, our choices, our responses. This is a small territory, but it's the only territory that matters because it's the only one we can actually rule." Marcus Aurelius commanded the largest empire on earth, millions of people, endless wealth, absolute authority, and yet in his private journal he reminded himself that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. The most powerful man in the world understood that his real power was internal. Marcus Aurelius, most powerful man in the world. James Stockdale in chains understood the same thing. Now the question is, why don't we? Why don't we realize that our real power lies in the inside, not external events? There is a reason why this is hard, and the reason is that we are addicted, not to substances but to something far more subtle. We are addicted to the illusion of control, to the feeling that if we just worry enough, plan enough, or check enough, we can force the world to cooperate. Only if we watch ourselves for one day. How many times do we check our phone? Not because we need to, but because we cannot control ourselves. How many times do we replay a situation in our mind? Not to solve anything, but because our mind is stuck in a loop it cannot exit. How many times do we seek reassurance, compliments, likes, and some confirmation that we are acceptable? These are not choices, these are compulsions, and like all addictions, they disguise themselves as necessities. Seneca said, "We must give up many things to which we are addicted, considering them to be good. Otherwise, courage will vanish, which should continually test itself." We tell ourselves that checking Instagram is harmless, that worrying about future is just being responsible, that caring what others think is just being considerate. But answer honestly, can we stop? Can we go 1 week without checking how many likes we received? Can we accept a rejection without spiraling into self doubt? Can we let someone be wrong about us without needing to correct them? If not, we are not free. Something else is driving us, something which we have mistaken for ourselves. The Stoics define freedom simply: the ability to abstain. If you cannot choose not to do something, you are its slave. James Stockdale was tortured for years. He could not control what they did to his body, but he could control whether he betrayed his men, whether he gave up names, whether he let them break his character. He had the freedom to abstain from surrender, from betrayal, from losing himself. Now, do we have the same freedom, or have we already surrendered to simple, smaller, softer prisons? There's something else Stockdale discovered in that prison, something very crucial. When asked who did not survive, his answer surprised everyone. It was not the pessimist, it was the optimist. The prisoner who said, "We will be out by Christmas." Christmas would come and go. "We will be out by Easter." Easter would pass. Each disappointment crushed them further until they died of broken hearts. Stockdale explained, "You must never confuse faith that you will prevail in the end, which you can never afford to lose, with the discipline to confront the most brutal fact of your current reality." This became known as the Stockdale Paradox. What he was trying to say is that believe in absolute certainty that you will win in the end. At the same time, face the harsh truth about how bad things are right now. Don't lie to yourself for comfort, and don't lose hope because it's hard. Hold both, or you either quit or delude yourself. But we humans actually do the opposite. We lie to ourselves. We avoid hard truth. We scroll through distractions rather than face what is real. We set goals based on fantasy rather than reality. And when reality refuses to meet our delusion, we break. The Stoics understood this balance. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "All you need are these: certainty of judgment in the present moment, action for the common good, and an attitude of gratitude in the present moment for anything that comes your way." Certainty of judgment. See things as they actually are, not as you want them to be. Action in present, not hope, not planning without moment, action now. Gratitude for what comes, not resistance, not denial, acceptance of reality as it is. And this is how you live, this is how you prevail, not through empty optimism, through clear eyed determination. So, how do we live this? Not as a philosophy to admire, but as a practice to embody. The Stoics train daily, not occasionally, daily. So here's what that looks like. In the morning, before the world intrudes, remind yourself, today will bring difficulties. Plans will fail, people will disappoint me, things outside my control will go wrong. Then decide in advance. I will focus on what I control: my effort, my responses, my character. Everything else is not my concern. Epictetus said, "Let all your efforts be directed to something. Let it keep that end in view." It's not the activity that disturbs people, but false conception of things that drive them mad. When stress arrives during the day, and it will, stop. Ask one question: is this within my control? If this isn't something that is within your control, if no, this is not within my control, release it immediately without any negotiation, because it's not yours to carry. If yes, if this is something that is within my control, act. Do not complain, do not delay. Work with what it is. At night, review your day. Marcus Aurelius did this every evening. One of the most powerful men in the world. examining his thought. Where did I waste energy on things I cannot control? Where did I succeed? Where did I fail? This is how you build what the Stoics called eustathia, inner steadiness, not happiness that depends on circumstances, but something deeper, a foundation that remains solid, whether succeed or fail. Epictetus said, "It's not things that disturbs us, but our judgment about things. The same event that destroys one person strengthens another. The difference is never the event; it's always the judgment." So the key here is that train your judgment and see how external events lose their power over you. James Stockdale walked out of that prison after 7 years and 7 months. And as I've said earlier, he was tortured, he was starved, humiliated, he was isolated, but not broken, not destroyed, not a victim. He had built an inner empire that his captors could not touch. We now have the same opportunity, not in a prison camp, of course, but in our daily life. In every moment, we choose where to put our attention. In every reaction, we choose to have or not have. In every battle, we choose to fight or release it. Now, before I end this video and say goodbye to you guys, I have a challenge for you. And the challenge here is that for the next 7 days, watch yourself. Every time when frustration, anger, anxiety appears, stop and ask yourself, is this within my control? If yes, this is something that is within my control, act. Do not delay. And if this isn't something that is within my control, if I cannot control this, release it, let it go. It's not yours. And guess what, you will fail repeatedly. That is expected. The goal here is not perfection, the goal here is awareness. And with awareness comes freedom. And here's the best part, that most people will never do this. They will remain in the prison that they cannot see. They will fight wars they cannot win, controlled by forces they refuse to examine. But you my friend, you and I, we both now have a choice. And that choice, as both Epictetus and Stockdale understood, is the one thing that no one can ever take from us. This is Inner Empire, and we are just beginning.